This is bringing light to the shadow. This is bringing truth to the lie. Hello. Amira Alvarez here, and welcome to another episode of the Unstoppable Woman podcast. I am your host and the founder and CEO of the Unstoppable Woman, and I'm super excited that you're here. Thank you so much for being loyal listeners and for ringing in the new year with us. I am so excited for 2022. I think it's going to be an amazing freaking year, and it's all about fresh starts at this time of the year. It's all about what are we doing next, end of the old year, beginning of the new year. There's something, even though like, what's the difference between one day and the next? Isn't it just another day? There is something really special about the beginning of the new year, at least to me. It feels like, the world's your oyster and you can do anything and you're starting afresh. And I love that feeling. I don't know about you, but I love that feeling. And yet it's very challenging for your subconscious to have a fresh start. Now, your conscious mind will say, okay, new year, new me, right? Like, there's even marketing taglines like that. New year, new me, right? Consciously, we're like, okay, I can create whatever I want in this coming year. Consciously, I can make different choices. I can do different things. But subconsciously, you're still attached to the old way of being. You're still attached to your old self-image. You're still attached to your old subconscious programming. So how do you actually make a fresh start? That is the question that I am posing and hopefully answering for you today. Because if you don't know how to actually release the old, what's not serving you, some old things do serve you, and we want to celebrate those and actually lock them in and really underscore them and affirm them for ourselves. But for the things that were less than ideal this past year, you want to take the personal responsibility for them, really recognize them, and release them so that you can have a spiritual fresh start, that you can have an energetic fresh start, that you can have a mental, emotional fresh start, that you can go forward and execute on all your big dreams and big visions and things that you want to create this coming year and the years to come, even after 2022. Right? This holds true. There are things that you can hold on to for years is what I'm saying. It's not just like you hold on to something short term. You can hold on to something for a long time. And so let's use this opportunity to release the stuff that's no longer serving us and allow in something of a higher nature. So this is the law of sacrifice. The law of sacrifice says we must let go of things of a lower nature in order to let in things of a higher nature. And when you're going for a fresh start, where you're really going after the next brilliant new thing, or maybe better iteration of an existing thing, you really do want a fresh start. And your subconscious mind has not let go of the things that did not work out so swimmingly this last year. Your subconscious mind is holding on to the stuff that it thinks you need to hold on to in order not to make that same mistake, for instance, again. And I want you to look at releasing both things from your business life and from your personal life. So when I take you through this process that I'm about to take you through, I want you to think of it and answer the questions that I'm posing to you based on your business and your personal life. Okay. So the first thing is, what do you need to release? What are the things that you're holding on to that are somewhat or entirely negative? So there's a whole spectrum there. And you don't want to just do the extremely negative things or the things that cause you extreme pain or discomfort. You want to look at that whole spectrum. What are all the things that cause you to feel lesser than, things that you might be in resentment over, things that you're holding grudges over, things or people that you haven't forgiven, things that you were frustrated about how you handled. What mistakes did you make this past year? What do you feel guilty about having done or said, or decisions that you made? Where did you go off course or lose your way? What poor decisions did you make? Where did you blame someone else and not take personal responsibility? How are you not the person that you wanted to be? Now, all of these questions are not about making you wrong. That's very important. Just because you're seeing where you actually didn't live up to the person you wanted to be, right? You made some sort of decision, or you took some action, or you were stuck in self-sabotage for a period of time, or you didn't keep your word to yourself, or you didn't keep your commitments to yourself. Even if that did happen, your first step to moving forward, letting it go so that you can have a fresh start in 2022, is to acknowledge it, is to really see it, bring awareness to it. You have to bring the awareness to it, and you have to acknowledge it. This is bringing light to the shadow. This is bringing truth to the lies. And I say the lies because it's the make wrong story around what happened, make yourself wrong story around what happened, that is the lie. It's keeping you in a lie that is, you are wrong. Okay. This value statement versus, I want to show up differently, or this would have been a better decision, or I would like to be like this. Those are neutral statements. You don't have to make yourself wrong to learn from an experience. You don't have to make yourself wrong and to grow and become more, to not make the mistake again. That's the lie. The lie is, if I make myself wrong, I won't make that mistake again. That's what our subconscious mind wants us to think, but it's just not true. If you make yourself wrong, you go into the shadow. You never embrace it and go, oh, look at what I'm actually doing. And this is what I want to let go of lovingly, compassionately, and become a person who's not in victim, a person who is taking personal responsibility, who is making decisions from the place she wants to be, not from fear or scarcity. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Your first step is awareness. Awareness is not about making yourself wrong. It's just acknowledging. And if you're afraid to acknowledge and be aware of where you've gone off track, then you will always stay in the lie that is causing you to repeat your patterns of self-sabotaging and staying small and not actually going for more and getting ahead. So as you ask yourself these questions, you want to bring that level of awareness to yourself. And this is a form of expression as opposed to suppression. When you don't acknowledge the experience, the dark side, the shadow side, you will continue to suppress it, and then it festers and it becomes a bigger thing, and it becomes a self-sabotaging pattern. So we want to acknowledge it and thus express it. Now, that's not the end. When you go through these questions that I've outlined, okay, and we have a downloadable worksheet if you want to download the questions that I just went through and answer them for yourself, which I would highly recommend as a releasing process, right? To step into the new year with a fresh start. The URL is theunstoppablewoman.com/E273. So that's theunstoppablewoman.com//E as in episode 273. So when you go back and you answer these questions, you're going to also want to answer a subsidiary question to each one. You're going to get, let's say you answer like, where was I in resentment this year? Or where was I being in scarcity or miserly, right? Like holding back either spiritually or financially or emotionally. let's say you answer that question and you come up with an experience. I was miserly in my the salary or the compensation that I gave my team members, or the time and attention I gave my team members or my clients, or whatever it was. Okay. So you're going to acknowledge that. Where were you not showing up the way you wanted to in your business and your life? And again, lots of questions on that. And then you're going to ask yourself, what would I do differently? This is so critical, you guys. If you stay just in the awareness of what you didn't like, what went off course this past year, but you don't articulate what you would do differently, you haven't closed the loop for yourself. You haven't set the new intention. You haven't given your subconscious mind a new GPS location, if you will, a direction to go to. So you're going to want to ask yourself, what would I do differently? So not from a self-flagellation or beat yourself up or inflict self-blame or guilt or shame on yourself. We let those go here in this community, that they're not useful. They don't help you become the woman you want to be and do the things you want to do in life or make bank. Okay. They just keep you playing out old patterns. So you're going to say to yourself, okay, let's use that example that I just gave. You didn't compensate someone well enough and they left, right? They said, I got a better job over here. You would then say, well, what would I do differently? I would have conversations regularly with people about their compensation. I would understand whether I was compensating someone appropriately. I would understand whether that was the right person for my team, right? Like it could be that this was the best thing for everyone. So I would release the guilt and embrace the fact that they have chosen to move on, right? There's so many different ways that you could interpret this, and it's up to you to be super, super honest with yourself so that you interpret it in an accurate way and teach yourself what you would do differently. I hope that makes sense. This is one of the keys to success, that level of honesty and transparency with yourself, not just saying everything's perfect, or I'm right because of this, but really going, you know what I would do differently going forward is this. So let's say you blamed the front desk person for not being good enough at her job to answer the phones and greet clients. And you lost your way. Maybe you shouted or you were snippy or something like that. And you're like, don't like who I was being there. You want to ask yourself, what would you do differently next time for you to stay in your personal power? So that might be, I need to have better training systems. I need to be clearer in my communication of what's expected. I need to hire higher level people. I need to have some sort of filter for who I hire. I need to do a temp to perm and let people learn on the job, but trial them out and not have it be a big commitment up front. So these are all the ways you want to look at each individual thing that you articulate and come up with a creative problem-solving solution for what you would do differently. So another example of this happening is, let's say you started a project and then changed your direction. You changed where you were going, or you changed the strategy, and you kept changing it throughout the year, and you never actually got ahead, right? You never followed through, kept the discipline, kept your word to yourself, and did the things that challenged you emotionally to execute on the plan. That happens a lot. I see it all the time. And it's not anything that you want to guilt and shame yourself about, but you do have to make a conscious choice about how you want to do it differently next time. So examples of how you might do it differently. You might want to have more accountability in your life. You might want to have a better and bigger support system. You might want to really dial in your plan and strategy. You might want to break your plan down to 90-day goals, right? You might want to hire a coach. You know, we have a mastermind. You're welcome to reach out to us about this, where we help people with planning and strategies and and keeping their word to themselves and their accountability while having, freedom and joy and all the things that we all want in our life. So you want to look at what you might need to enhance the way you're being. What would you need to do differently? And there's any number of solutions for that. So you want to look at this and really take an honest assessment. Each answer, you're going to want to do this. And when you do this, you're mapping in your mind the way forward. You're mapping the path. You're saying, okay, this is what I would do next time. Now, this takes you spending a few minutes answering the questions on the worksheet and getting really clear. And it's such a powerful practice. So to reiterate, step 1 is awareness and articulation of the things that need to be released, the things that you're not proud of, the things that you're holding on to that are constraining you emotionally and mentally because you haven't let them go. And you're going to want to really get clear about what those are and articulate them. Step 2 is what would you do differently? Okay. You get creative, problem solving on the page, pen to paper. Okay. Step 3 is you forgive yourself and everyone else for their part in this. Now, the forgiveness practice that I teach is a larger topic here. And I think we did a podcast episode on this. So if we did, check our show notes and we will link to that podcast episode in the show notes because the forgiveness practice is very powerful. So that's the 3-part process. 1 is getting clear, being honest with yourself, acknowledging awareness, all of that, answering the questions, then coming up with what you would do differently. And then step 3 is the forgiveness practice. And if you do this, if you spend 15 minutes working this worksheet, you will clear the stuff that's holding you back from moving forward into the new year with a fresh start. So I encourage you to take a few minutes either on your own or with our worksheet and do that now. So the worksheet again is at theunstoppablewoman.com/E273. One more thing, we have part 2 of this 2-part series coming up soon. So please check back and look for that next installment on this series of how to launch into 2022 and make it your best year ever. Okay, with that, I'll catch you in the next episode. Take care. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for joining us and being part of the Unstoppable Woman movement. We have got a ton of free resources for scaling your business at theunstoppablewoman.com/free stuff. And you can find that link in the description below. So go ahead and check those out. And we'd also love your help in getting our message out to more and more women. If you'd be willing to share this video with all the unstoppable women in your life, that would be fantastic. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Reviews, likes, and comments are greatly appreciated. We go in and read them all. So thank you for those. And thanks for listening and be unstoppable.